All right, hello, good people. Let's do the chords. This is one of my favorite parts to get into it because it gets pretty monotonous just doing the drums. We have no kind of tonality to it. And then the bass is a little bit more exciting as we get into more musical sounds. But now we have some chords. We have some music. So let's do it. I'm going to start out with the drop. So I'm going to let's start with this heavy synth here. So I'm going to cycle it on the drop and let's just listen to what we have going on. Okay, pretty cool. Let's do an EQ. Check out what's going on. Honestly, a really nice synth sound. I want to remember which one this is again. Amped up epic synth. That's pretty good. All right, so let's put a low cut on this guy, aka high pass, and let's scoop out some of this low end because we don't need this stuff. I'm gonna bring it right up to here so it's out of the way of the sub bass. And so we don't delete too much of what's going on because we don't want this to sound thin. So 123 hertz. So if I take it too far up, no good. So 123. Let's check what's going on in the mid to high. So a lot of information here. That's pretty cool. This is about the time that I would start using what's called a dynamic EQ, and I would address some of these peaks that are blowing up past this zero line. It's not crazy important for this song because we don't really have that much going on. But if we had to this 220, this like 310, I would line this up and use basically it's almost like a compressor within your EQ. So instead of doing a cut that's just a permanent cut on the instrument like this, it actually bobs up and down depending on the frequency that's coming through. So I think for this, I actually am going to use a permanent cut. So let's go ahead and we'll make two of them. So we'll start here. Grab this one, bring it over. All right, so let's just listen to this. Let's leave these two guys out to see how it sounds different. So if we do the opposite effect, that's the easiest way to hear this. So I have them at negative 2.4, both of them. So if we raise these, this is what we're cutting out. Kind of that box a little bit. That's where our snare drum lives. So it's not a bad idea that we're cutting this out. Because when we add our snare drum back in the mix. So if we put this back down. Sounding a little thin, right? We have our bass muted. So let's put that back in. That's pretty cool. I'm going to leave that for now. I love how wide this is. If this were something other than something from Alchemy, a software instrument that needs some kind of widening, then we would address that. But this is pretty wide to begin with. So we also have the single EQ on this. I want to double check. So we take it down from here, bring it back up, and then we remove it from the rest of the song. So let's just check through here a couple parts, just make sure we still like that. I'll start to bring the vocals in and out sometimes just to make sure.
All my life, been waiting for you, and
so we don't want to cover up the vocals too much. It's a very powerful instrument. Let's take it here.
All my life, all my life.
All right, all the way through. Cool. All right, I'm into it. If we need to come back, we will. All right, so we got that guy in there. Let's keep working on the drop. So our choir here, this is kind of our synth backup. So let's look into this. Let's add this in. Oh, and I forgot to check volume. Normally when I'm doing production, I'm adjusting volumes anyway. There are a lot of guys that say to volume reset everything when you start mixing. I don't exactly love that. That could be the wrong move, but I put it where I think it needs to be up front, and then we'll make small adjustments from there. So let's just focus on volume. Let's take it all the way down, mix it back. Grab our master EQ, do it visually. Get the drums out of here. We're actually to kick out for a sec. Okay, I'm all right with that. So we took it down actually a couple decibels because we still have more instruments coming. So make sure we have room for the rest of them. All right, our choir. Okay, stereo track, so it's pretty wide, sounds good. Let's check EQ. Oh. Okay, so I don't know what this is. That's just coming up because I'm pausing it, but looks like somebody already did a pretty good job on this EQ here. Whoops. So let's wipe that out just in case, because there's nothing below that anyway. Play around here. Give it a high pass. So again, there's nothing really going on below 240, and I don't see any information going on above 4460, so I'm just going to cut it just to be safe. Let's see what's actually going on if we just listen to the choir soloed. We'll add the high back if there is any, just to compare. There is a little air. But that air is captured by our cymbals and this heavy synth. I didn't do a high cut on this. The master EQ. Add our drum. Let's just add everything back. Not the effects. All right. Looks okay. Channel EQ. I don't mind this not having any kind of effects on it, any kind of reverb. I just want that dry sound. All right, not bad. Let's see what's going on. I know this doesn't have any EQ on it. All right, so for this, we need to check our fades like we were on the other audio file. So I think I got these 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. All right, so we're clear. All right, let's keep moving. Let's go ahead and add the second half choir in here. So I see I already have an EQ on here. I'm going to turn this off just for a second. Okay. Let's check our fades. Just get that done. Fades look good. All right, so it looks like beginning or during production when I was making this, I put this EQ on here. So this is a preset. So a lot of EQs have this preset, some type of phone filter sound. So that would be an EQ Tools phone filter. So let's just listen to this. And sometimes cutting all this space helps the sound to come through the mix. So without this EQ, and with it, creates a totally different sound, but it helps it cut through the mix a little bit because we already kind of have the same thing going on, just transposed 12 semitones down. So I don't mind doing phone filter notch on this guy. So we'll keep that. I'm going to get rid of this EQ here. So the phone filter notch gets rid of our low end, so we don't have to worry about that. And it plugs out some of the high end too. All right, and let's mix this volume wise back in. Let's look at the master. Okay. Getting confused by these, so I'm going to relabel these. Oh, why I'm confused. So if you need to name your tracks again, just to make sure they match, you can right click them, highlight them, name regions by tracks. If they're locked, it's not going to let you change it. So just unlock them real quick. All right, let's do this one. I am picking these kind of methodically here. So our screaming lead, we have EQ function on this automation. All right, so let's take it all the way from halfway top when this comes in. Pull up an EQ and get to listening. Okay, so nothing's really going on below 750, and I don't need it anyway for this mix. So let's carve. So if we just hear to what we're doing, mixing is all about referencing between the other instruments. You never want to just mix each track alone. So hear how thin that is? But combined with everything else that we're doing, and there's a lot of good high end in here. I want to keep that. So we'll come back to this in a second because it appears in other parts of the song. Let's do the guitar arp. We can start this guy from the beginning. Let's pull up an EQ. High cut. Sorry, low cut. Got high cut. Master. It's got to be it right there. It's going to be too high. Well, it's too loud. Let's do a level adjust. All right, so here's what just happened. So you guys are familiar by now. We did a low cut, got rid of that stuff. We don't need it. We did a high cut. There's not much going on anyway. And I threw this little EQ boost on here. So changing the sound a little bit so it cuts through the mix a little bit better. So with and without this. It's kind of muddy, kind of not really there. You start to get that bubble come through a little bit. So I like this. So not bad. So the other thing I want to do is stick a compressor on this. Or I'm going to try. We're going to see what happens. I want this to be a little bit more punchy instead of just washed out. There's a lot of reverb on here. I'm not messing with the internal software, the preset that's in there. But I want to see if I can make this more punchy. So let's do this without everything on. So zero out my compressor. All right, let's play with the attack to make it more punchy. We want to skip the attack. Play with the release. You guys hear how it's like popping now? Just kind of washy. Turn the compressor on. I'm kind of okay with that because we put that EQ on it too. So we're addressing some of that EQ boost, but we're also just making overall the sound more punchy. Play with the ratio. This is cool. I like this. So threshold -22, ratio 3.5, attack 20, release 220. I might come back and change this. So altogether, check volume on it one last time. Now you're really getting that the low note is really coming through. Master EQ. Get it out. I kind of like how the snare isn't side chained either. So this is almost coinciding with the snare drum. Every time the snare hits, it's a coincidence, but every time, obviously it's in time, but every time that snare drum hits, you can hear that guitar pop in there too. So it's almost like combining layering with the snare drum, give the snare drum a note association. I think it's a little loud. Cool. Not bad. Again, we'll come back and check this guy since he is other places than the drop. We'll have to do a run through. So we did our screaming lead. Lock that down. All right, let's do the pad synth. We're just focusing on the drop for a sec. So here's where most of the warmth of the drop is going to come in. Yeah, it's hanging out down here. Let's bring her down, bring her back in. Okay. So this pad synth, it's hanging out, right? It's hanging out in that low frequency. So I want to double check the snare drum. It's sidechained to the kick, so don't need to worry about that. But I want to check on our bass and our drums with this. All right, not a bad sound. So our snare drums. Channel EQ on our snare drum stack. So we need to watch out. 150 about to 250, we'll call it. 150 to 250. So I think what I might do I might compress this pad synth against the snare drum. So I'm going to pick one of these snares that seems the most consistent to me. I'm going to pick this EDM snare. I'm going to side chain the pad synth to the EDM snare, more or less the same exact way that we sidechain the kick. So let's go ahead, grab just the snares, burst the pad synth. And let's see what's going on. All right, let's grab a compressor. And actually what we can do, we can grab it off the chord stack just so we have a setup. So we'll get rid of this compressor. We don't need that. I'm going to copy this guy over, hold Option, compressor. So now we're going to check this out. So we're going to have to set it differently. So this is our sidechain kick compressor. So all we have to do is go up to sidechain, go to audio, and I want the EDM snare. So wherever that guy is, EDM snare, EDM snare. It's right there. Audio 3. So let's see what happens. All right, we need to play with the threshold. Let's do like -10 gain reduction, more or less. Now, the reason I'm doing this again is because that snare drum is hanging out right where this pad synth is hanging out. So I want to make sure in the drop that snare drum has a chance to shine through. So in many of my EDM songs, I will actually sidechain the kick and snare all together instead of just doing one instrument. So could you do that in this track? Yes, but I didn't do that in this track because I think our snare is coming through and I'm okay with this sound. It's not a hard EDM sound. It's a little bit softer. All right, let's start adding stuff back. Let's get our bass, our drums. All right, let's put all the chords in here. So it's going to be a creative decision later. Remember, we increased the threshold on the compressor on the bass to make sure that this is sidechaining a little bit harder with the kick drum. I don't think I want to do the same thing on the chords. Everything has been more or less moved out of the way, EQ'd out of the way of the kick drum, so it's not necessarily necessary. However, it could be a creative decision that we'll make later on. All right, so now I want to check everything else in the rest of the song. So the drop is very specific because we need to make sure our low end is in balance and everything else is in balance. So this part of the song, we don't have that much going on. So if we can, we'll actually remove some of the EQ cuts that we have. So let's start this song and let's see where it's hanging out. So we have a low cut. Put the vocals in there just so we listen.
Everything going on in between us, in the light, in the dark, you're my witness. All my life, been waiting for you and we can't ignore everything going on in between us, in the light, in the dark, you're my witness. All my life, all my life.
I was checking out that one frequency there. That's the vocal chop, so we'll address that in a bit. So really not that bad.
waiting
side
for
chaining
you
against the kick drum.
and I. We can't ignore everything going on in between us. In the light, in the dark, you're my witness. All my life, all my life,
Nice change of pace.
all my life, all my life.
Cool. All right, so I want to do a little build automation in here. So again, I'm trying to keep this simple, but we're already in the mix. So let's check out some of these things that could be a little bit better. So I want to focus on the transition from the build to just the first point of the drop because our drop is supposed to be big. So if we already have all these instruments just cluttering up before the build, when the drop hits, there's not too much of a dynamic. Now, yes, we really only have our bass in the drop, but I want to check this out. So the first one, not that bad because we have that point of space and we really only have the guitar arp and the soft kick. So we introduced the heavy kick. I'm all right with that. Let's do the second build. This is where we have a lot more instrumentation. All right, from here to here, check the EQ. Let's try something. So let's give it just a little bit. So let's do the same thing. Single band EQ, low cut. Drop it down. Right at here. Let's go ahead scoop this stuff out. And so by the time we get to the drop, it'll be back and we won't have any kind of EQ issue. So let's put it back up to 1,000. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's something in there like woofing. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there, but while I'm checking this out, this is all a part of mixing. I'm just checking things out. So I don't like that this is reverbing through. So let's get rid of that. I'm going to use the gain. I'm going to do an automation. Go up to your tools, marquee tool. Get you a gain point. I just want it to be dry with that heavy synth. Let's double check. Okay, solves that. Let's check the pad synth. There it is. There's that woof. It's just the software instrument. It's just cutting kind of funny. So let's do the same thing here. And since I caught that now, let's check it in other places too. So let's get rid of that. Sounds terrible. Weird woof coming through. Cool. Since I know the pad synth does that now, let's check it in other places. We have a full chord stack on there, full chord gain. I know that's in there, so we don't have an issue here because it's right there. So let's check this. Same thing. Nasty. Get rid of it. Just cleaning stuff up. All right, let's check it here. We have that chord thing. We'll check it in anyway. Okay, clean. Let's check the outro. And I don't mind it there because it's kind of a human natural sound, the release of that keyboard. That's all right for the outro. All right, let's put it all back. Let's make sure we're doing this right. All right, I want to do the same low cut EQ on the pad synth here. So I know we're adding a lot, but if you guys do this step by step, in the end, it's going to be a lot of things. But right now, it's just very simple stuff. So let's do an EQ, sneak that right in there. Single band, same thing. Could you copy and paste? Yes. I like to do it manually because copy and paste can get weird and tricky sometimes. So let's get our low cut automation in here. And let's just do the same thing because I want all this stuff to go away. Dropping nodes on here so it's clean. We're at 1060 on that choir. Let's match it. So now we should get narrower, narrower, less EQ, and then when that heavy synth hits, it's much nicer. Then everybody comes back in. Double check we have it right. 20, 20, 20. Cool. 20 hertz, 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz. So everything is back by the time we get to the drop. All right, let's do a little drum EQ too, and then we might be able to wrap this up. This is cool, the way this builds up, but I almost want to hear. It's kind of boring. So let's do just a couple transposition parts. There's a lot of ways to do this, but I'm going to try to keep it simple, and we're just going to do transposition on here. So we're going to use every time new snare drum hits, I want it to go do, 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 do. So let's do transpose 1. So that should be both of these guys. All right. I will catch you guys back in a second when I do all of these. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever. Be right back. All right. I got these transposed all the way up to plus 11. Let's check it out. All right. So it sounds okay. I have another issue with it, though. The snares are super, super heavy. I want to do EQ on these guys too. So we're going to put, this is our compressor for the stack. Let's put, so we don't have anything here, so we can use this channel EQ we have on top of it. So let's go ahead, do a low cut. Start here, get you 20 hertz. We're literally just going to do the same thing as we did to the pad synth and the choir. I want to remove that low end just to make it a little bit softer. I'm going to start here, here, and then by the time we get back to the drop, we have everything back. So let's see how high we can take this. I think about 500. Let's see. Pretty cool. Try 730. I'm going to do a listen back. At this point, I'm going to check the stereo out. We don't have too much to add to the song, so we're at -3.2. We're living pretty good. Channel EQ. I'm going to watch this the whole time. -4.3 looks great. Like the change of sound, different frequency space. Pretty good. Pretty good. We ended up at -3.6, so we're perfect, in my opinion. I'm not crazy about the whole drum transposition, but I'll keep an eye on this. We already did it, so let's keep it for now and see how it sits. I don't know if I want the snares to rise in transposition. Again, I might do that stuff for a really heavy EDM song and really rely on EQ automations and that kind of just sometimes I'll do a narrowing of everything before it gets to the drop, but this is a softer EDM song. It's meant to be a little bit more flowy. So I might not do that transposition, but again, everything we mix, we can mix again if we want to. So you guys did great. I think everything looks pretty good. It sounds pretty good. And we will get on to FX and Vokes probably next time. All right. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.